Hello, very good morning. Hope I am audible and clear. The last remedy we spoke was trillium, a very simple remedy, and it's more of a specific remedy. And as I told you in the last class, it's a partial remedy, not very deeply proved. And as I gave you the indications in the last class, it's predominantly a hemorrhagic remedy like our Talapse Bursa or even for that matter Sabina. Okay, it's more of a superficial remedy. And I hope what I tried to tell you in the last class was clear. Today I'll start with a new remedy, and this remedy, before I enter this remedy, I'll just share a small case, and through the case we will enter the remedy. And as you see on the screen, a very recent case, few days back, we had this gentleman aged around 30 years, and he had severe pain in the left lumbar region and very bad pains. He was not able to move. Any slightest movement would increase the pain. Okay, so quickly you interpret what exactly could be the probable reason, and how do we deal with a simple case like this. Pain in left lumbar region, very severe pain, he could not bear the pain, and small movement would increase the pain. So what could be a probable diagnosis? Because as I insisted in the last class, you are all final year students, ready to fly, ready to practice, ready to you know get into your internship shortly. So what could be the probable diagnosis and what was the remedy given? So the probable diagnosis, from the area, somebody says Brainia. I knew Brainia will come up. You know why Brainia came up here was because of the pains which are more on slightest movement. One more friend of yours says degeneration. Okay, left lumbar region, left lumbar region. Okay. Yeah, one guy gives the diagnosis that I wanted. See, you are talking of the spine. I'm not talking of the spine. I'm talking to you about the left. Okay, fine. The left renal area. Fine. I did not purposely want the word renal to be used here because I know you'll get to know it is a case of renal colic. See, this was a typical case of renal colic. Patient having pain in the left renal area, and the slightest movement aggravates is again a very characteristic symptom of a remedy. As Nagaraj has rightly told, this is a case of renal calculi. Okay, so a case of left-sided renal calculi with severe pains, and he was not able to tolerate the pains. So I gave him a dose of a medicine. It was somewhere around 9:30 night that he had come to me with this problem. And next day morning, he sends me, yeah, you have told me what exactly I wanted to highlight here. See, next day morning, he sends me a picture of this and he says, thank you so much, doctor. A dose of a remedy was given, and next day morning, he passes a stone 6 into 4 of a calculi is passed in the first urine next morning. Now this is what a right homeopathic medicine can do. Okay. Now it's a very simple remedy. I have not taken the mentals, I have not taken anything. Very acute case. He came to me with pain and I could not take the normal case taking. Just looking at few QRS, I prescribed the remedy, and the remedy is a very simple remedy, and the remedy is Berberis vulgaris. Okay, so Berberis vulgaris 200, a single dose was given, and then you see the result in front of you. You have the stone which gets passed. Now my next question for you is, what are all the common remedies that you have in your syllabus for renal calculi. Kindly recall the remedies for renal calculi. You have to be a little quick so that we will have interaction, and of course we'll also have to finish the portions that has been assigned to me. Yes, Sarsaparilla, very good. Lycopodium, Sarsaparilla, Lycopodium again, fine. Chelidonium, see somebody talks of Chelidonium. Chelidonium is more of gallstones rather than renal stones. Unless symptomatically it gets indicated, specifically Chelidonium is not a remedy for renal pathology. It is a remedy more for gallstones. Okay, anyway, good thought. So I have a few set of remedies that we commonly think of in our practice. Like for example, we have benzoic acid, we have berberis, calcarea carb, cantharis, lycopodium, nux vomica, pereira breva, tabacum, uva. I'll explain all this a little later because comparisons are very important. And in the end, you also see a small remedy that I have written, and that remedy is sarsaparilla. So, sarsaparilla is one of the remedies that we indicate for renal calculi. Though I had not given him sarsaparilla here, but sarsaparilla has its own symptoms that will get indicated in our future practice. So what we'll try to do is, next 40 minutes, we'll try to take up a part of sarsaparilla and we'll try to explore sarsaparilla in different angles. Okay, so this is the picture of the tree sarsaparilla, and before it was introduced into homeopathy, sarsaparilla had some medicinal usage, meaning it was used for treating ulcers, it was used for treating urinary complaints, it was used for treating gonorrhea, fine, and many had used sarsaparilla as a blood purifier for those patients who were abused with mercury. If you recall, mercury was an abused remedy during Hanuman's time. It was abused in crude form and all those things. And sarsaparilla is one remedy which has ailments from mercury and which can also antidote the bad effects of mercury. So this was the brief history about sarsaparilla, about its medicinal properties before it was taken up homeopathically, proved, and it was verified. So we will see, or before I take up the sphere of action, we have some objectives set so that we don't deviate. The first objective here will be action, sphere of action, and pathogenesis of sarsaparilla. We will mention the ailments, will list the characters, will describe the urinary affections, and of course, we'll have a lot of comparisons here, final year class. And in the end, we'll try to sum up the clinical utility of sarsaparilla. Okay. So with this brief objective set, we will talk of sarsaparilla's sphere of action. See, I've been insisting, for example, we spoke of trillium. Whenever the word trillium comes, there are few things that should come to your mind. Like for example, if it is trillium, you all know our main focus is on hemorrhages. Similarly, when you talk of sarsaparilla, from today onwards, whenever the word sarsaparilla comes, there are few areas or few organs that should come in front of you. And one such organ that you have here is skin. So sarsaparilla has a beautiful action on skin, which has been clinically verified. So basically what you see is it will cause eruptions, it will cause cracks. We will explore more under the topic skin probably in the next class. Today, our focus is entirely on the next action of sarsaparilla, that is the urogenitalia. More than the genitalia, what you see is sarsaparilla has a beautiful action on the urinary tract. Starting from kidneys, the ureters, the bladder, and the urethra, we'll explore in detail that this is a remedy which can uh, cause a lot of complaints, which we'll try to explore. So the main focus for today is we will say try to understand the urinary affections of sarsaparilla. One more area apart from skin and apart from the urogenitalia, sarsaparilla equally acts well on. Okay, fine. Now we are talking of pathogenesis. Now, what is the action of sarsaparilla on the kidneys? Okay, though we'll be exploring it, you mainly see that sarsaparilla causes acting on kidneys. It will cause inflammation, and again a very good remedy for renal calculi. Okay, on the bladder, it will cause again inflammation. It can cause dysuria. We will talk of that a little later. And on urethra, you can see inflammation and you can see bad pains. So to remember, spear affection, skin and the urogenitalia. The last area where sarsaparilla acts is the bones. Mind you, as a budding homeopath, you should know that every remedy that acts on an organ will have its own affinity, will cause its own pathology. Now here, sarsaparilla will not cause caries, will not cause ulcers, okay, will not cause fractures or will not cure fractures. What can sarsaparilla do here is, it will cause pain in the bones, okay, and the pains in sarsaparilla are typically aggravated at night times. Bony pains aggravated at night. Can you quickly recall the other remedies acting on bones quickly so that we can move ahead? Like for example, you have remedies like Silicea, you have remedies like Eupatorium perforatum. See now, Eupatorium perforatum is a remedy that can come close to sarsaparilla because Eupatorium also has no deep pathology on the bones. Yeah, I'm happy a lot of remedies coming up in the chat box. We'll discuss them. So what I want you to understand here is it causes mainly pains. You have calcarea, you have calcarea fos, you have symphytum, you have Silicea, you have asafoetida, you have meserium. Okay, lot of remedies. You have ruta, good, acting on the periosteum. So each of those remedies that you have mentioned will have a different action. Sarsaparilla action is limited mainly to pain and nothing beyond that. Tomorrow a person comes to your clinic with osteomyelitis. Please don't think of sarsaparilla because nowhere in the provings, nowhere in the repertory, sarsaparilla is mentioned under osteomyelitis. Okay, so I hope I'm clear with what I'm trying to convey you. We spoke of spear affection and we also spoke of pathogenesis of sarsaparilla. Now, sarsaparilla, though it is a deep acting remedy, it has not been explored the way it should have been explored. This also has a constitution. This also has a physical appearance. If you look at the image, the appearance I've tried to show you is that of a person, that of a child. And if you look at the child looks prematurely old. Okay. And if you again try to understand this image, what you also understand here is that the extremities are thin and the abdomen is enlarged. Mind you, tomorrow if you get such patients in your clinic, there are a lot of remedies that can come to our mind. Henceforth, please do add sarsaparilla to your list. Somebody says Silicea, Rupesh says Silicea, Pooja says Calcarea. Good. We'll talk of it in the next slide. But for time being, from the description, yeah, somebody talks of Abrotina. Good. This is what I wanted. You know, as a final year student, you have to interact. You have to increase your knowledge of materia medica. So suited to children with faces like old people. I mean, the picture beautifully depicts the thing that I've tried to write. Okay, yeah, the abdomen is enlarged, the rest of the body is thin, fragile, shriveled, and it is old looking. This is very, very important. Fine. So before I wanted to ask this question, many of you have already contributed. What I wanted you to recall here is which are all the other remedies which have such kind of a constitution. thin, old looking face, enlarged abdomen. Okay, so Sakina, a lot of people have contributed. These are the set of remedies that should come to your mind. Many of your friends have given me abrotinum, they have given calcarea, very good. They have given iodum, okay. They have given Barata, good majority of the things you have got it. But few more things you should remember here is opium. Opium is again a constitution where they look pretty old. Argentum nitricum, don't forget argentum. You also have to remember syphilinum. See, that constitution itself tells you about the miasm, and who look old, they are more towards the syphilitic miasm. So syphilinum, please don't forget syphilinum in such situations. See, in the last class, we discussed that this class of materia medica that we'll be doing for final year will have an integration. We talk of medicine, we talk of repertory, we also talk of organon. So, as a small work, like I mean, you also have to parallelly think where do we find or how do we locate these symptoms in your repertory. Okay, so repertory gives you a wider range of remedies. Fine. So where do you look for the rubric in the repertory? Two areas you can look for. One is that generalities, premature old looking, you have a rubric there. Or if it is only limited to the face, wherein the expression of face looks old, you can take this rubric. Under face, expressions old. Okay, and abdomen enlarged, rest of the body thin. Where do you look for this rubric is also very important. Go to the chapter abdomen. Under abdomen you have enlarged, and under that you have sub rubric with marasmus. I hope I'm clear. Now that was the physical constitution. See this beautiful image of a child. He is not happy naturally. He is angry. He is angry because the doctor, the physician is trying to vaccinate him. Okay, you can look at his face. He's not a very happy child. So, bad effects of vaccination. One of the remedies is sarsaparilla. We'll also slowly try to understand in vaccination, in bad effects of vaccination, for what problem does sarsaparilla get indicated? Okay, before I move further, can you think of other remedies quickly? Bad effects of vaccination? Yes, good. I'm happy with the speed. A lot of right answers coming in. Beautiful, good. See now, totally there are some 37 to 39 remedies. Yes, Protalus, Tuja, Silisha, good, beautiful, keep it up. Antimonium tart, good. So you have a list of remedies here. Okay. If you want, I can tell you or I can give you the indications of all these remedies. If at all you're interested, we'll see that that's the first ailment in sarsaparilla, ailments from vaccination. And Mega says sulfur, agreed. Bad effects of mercury, plenty of remedies. And to start with, I told you this remedy from olden days, they have been using it as a blood purifier for people who have been abused with mercury. So it has a capacity to antidote bad effects of mercury. Vaccination, mercury, and the last thing I want you to remember under the objective ailments from is bad effects of gonorrhea. Again, you should have been aware of lot of remedies. One remedy for today is this particular remedy, sarsaparilla. So three ailments I want you to be very clear with. And if you are ready for the comparison, I'll just give you the images of those remedies, which has bad effects, and because of a bad effect, for example, in Tuja, what will happen, or in any other remedy, what will happen, that becomes very important. For example, if a child has been vaccinated and after the vaccine, the child becomes very anxious. Anxiety from vaccination. This is what I want to tell you, convey it to you is the remedy will be Tuja. So these are all practical points. Please retain so that tomorrow it can be very handy for your practice. So, for example, the commonest problem, I have never come across anxiety, but commonest problems we see is encephalitis, meningitis, encephalitis. So, if a child after vaccination goes into meningitis, the remedy will be Aconite. Similarly, if there is headache after vaccination, There are two remedies, Tuja and Cilicia. For example, eye affections, conjunctivitis, swelling of eyes, or any eye affection after vaccination, the only remedy we have is Tuja. Similarly, if there is nausea after vaccination, the remedy will be Cilicia. Okay. Not only nausea, diarrhea. You got a lot of remedies here, starting with antim tart, Cilicia, Tuja. Fine. Diarrhea, asthma. See, these are all common things that we see in our day in and day out clinical practice. Respiratory affections, specifically asthma, which comes after vaccinations. Three remedies. Your search becomes very easy. You'll have to differentiate between those three remedies. Is it antimtat? Is it Cilicia? Or is it Tuja? Very simple. Similarly, cough. Sir, my child has been coughing for last 3 days. We definitely ask what happened last 3 days. Assuming the mother says, the only thing I can recall, sir, is that my child was vaccinated. And since then, I have observed that my child is coughing. Simple, four remedies. Look into the modalities of those four remedies and see, and you can prescribe. Okay. Skin affections, specifically pustules. Somebody contributed sulfur. So, if a pustule comes up after vaccination, the remedy is sulfur. Okay, phelon. In Kannada, we call it as ugursuttu, phelon. Now, if it is phelon, the remedy is tuja. Similarly, unfortunately, we have seen cases, serious cases, that paralysis. See, mind you, not every child who takes vaccines will have all these problems. There are those constitutions who are sensitive to vaccines and only they get affected. And see the beauty of homeopathy. Sensitivity is one part, and though they are sensitive to vaccine, each constitution reacts in a different way. Okay, must be here is CNS is big, he goes into paralysis. Here is respiratory is system is big, he goes into a respiratory complaint. Okay, so this is what you need to understand. Sleeplessness, which comes after vaccination. Two remedies, Tuja and Meserium. Okay. Fever. Repertories give a rare remedy, I mean, not a rare remedy, a deep acting remedy, carcinosin. But in practice, I have seen Aconite doing wonders. Sudden fever, the doctor pricks fright fear, and if they come immediately to you, a small fever is normal after vaccination, but a fever which is high and which is persisting. In my clinical practice, I have seen Aconite doing wonders. Repertories give carcinosin. I have never explored carcinosin. For me, carcinosin is a very deep acting remedy, so I need to try. So, for example, if you have eruptions coming up, the remedy, somebody beautifully contributed Crotalus horridus. I don't know who it was. Melandrinum, Meserium. Now see, this is where Sarsaparilla gets indicated. So eruptions which come after vaccination is a beautiful indication of Sarsaparilla. Okay. Not only eruptions, you can also have eczema, calimure, melandrinum, meserium. See, meserium comes in those areas where you have more of skin affections. Okay. Now this is not apis autonomous exactly. I wanted to tell you about convulsions. There we saw paralysis. Here we are seeing convulsions. Now Tuja and Cilicia are two remedies. You should remember convulsions. Backache after vaccination, Cilicia. And see, this is something very dangerous thing happening in the present generation. Many of them are going into autism. Okay, and there are a lot of papers supporting vaccines can lead to autism. Fine. So two remedies we have in homeopathy, or I don't know if the latest repertories give more. Tuja and carcinosin are two remedies you should remember for time being. You can keep adding. This is not the end of the knowledge. New studies, new remedies can be added. So what I've tried to give you in the last few slides is a child who is sensitive to vaccine and how each child reacts. This is very important. I hope these three slides that I've shared will add to your practical knowledge, and it help you treat some of the cases that you might see in future. which has elements from vaccination. Okay, so we spoke of sphere of action, we spoke of pathogenesis, we spoke of ailments from, and extensively we have tried to compare the bad effects of vaccination and the remedies and the results, what exactly happens in each remedy. Okay, if I'm clear with this, we'll move ahead. Uh, Jayant has a question. I mean, Jayant, you can type it. If I know, I will answer. If I don't know, I will refer and get back to you. Okay, Jayant, you can type your question. Meanwhile, we'll go to the next very important topic of sarsaparilla, where practically many of them have used sarsaparilla and found results. Now, before I take up sarsaparilla, I've just given a small clue here. For example, in your practice tomorrow, you have a person coming with painful micturition. In such cases, how do we proceed? What questions should we ask, and how do we approach in such cases? See, a person coming to you with urinary tract infection, he or she has bad burning. Okay, so now what are all the questions, set of questions that you need to ask? Ideally, if it is of a recent origin, if it is of, yes, very good. Rajesh says, sir, we ask if it is at the beginning, if it is at the end. Yes, you have that with you. Jayant continues with this question, and what is that question? Can paralysis be reversed? A very important and an interesting question Jayant has here. And from my experience, that what I have seen, I have not seen too many cases of paralysis. I have one case. Probably that girl who has referred that case also should be attending the class today. I'll not take her name, but she had referred one of her relatives. We have the videos. Must be Jayant, or if that patient permits, I can share those videos wherein he had gone into hemiplegia and we had taken the case. He was admitted in our hospital and we had taken the case. We had given him zincum phos. I repeat, don't give zincum phos to all cases of paralysis. Zincum phos was the remedy that he required. We took the typical case taking, we analyzed the case, and we gave him zincum phos. And we have the supporting videos with us. There's a lot of improvement. I don't say he's got a normal gait, but he can walk better. So very few cases I have, so I can't comment more. Probably a more experienced homeopathic doctor treating paralysis can answer your question better. But from the little experience that I have treating paralysis, that one case has beautifully reverted. At least some 60-70% is better, is able to lift his hand, is able to walk. A man who required support is able to walk independently. I feel that's a beautiful improvement. A simple remedy is income force. I hope Jayant's question is answered, and we'll continue. Okay. So we have to look for any ailment from, if at all, if it is of a recent origin. Character of pain, character of urine, how frequent it is, when is it more, when is it less, all that becomes very important. Okay. Now, why I've tried to give you this particular chart here is, not all cases of UTI, not all cases of burning micturition, you can think of sarsaparilla. Sarsaparilla will have its own indications. Sarsaparilla will have its own PQRS. Tomorrow, if you get those PQRS, only then you indicate sarsaparilla. Sarsaparilla is not a specific remedy for UTI. It will have its own indications. So next few slides, we'll try to explore the action of sarsaparilla on the urinary tract. Now, what is its action on kidneys? What will sarsaparilla do? This is very important. Each remedy acting on a same organ will have different effects. Now, what will sarsaparilla do? Two very important things I want you to remember. It can cause inflammation, it can cause nephritis, it can cause pyelonephritis, or it can also cause calculi. It can cure calculi. Clinically, it has been verified that calculus are taken care by sarsaparilla. Okay, so what you'll have to remember is sarsaparilla, if you see here, it is a remedy which affects the right kidney. Okay, see the beauty, though we have two kidneys, sarsaparilla has main affinity for the right kidney. So complaints related to the right kidney. Okay, so the PQRS here is because of the inflammation, the pyelonephritis, the nephritis, they can have pain, they can have burning extending downward from the right kidney. From the right kidney, pain goes down. And I already told you inflammation. Repertories also give sarsaparilla for renal cancer, carcinoma. So I'm not very sure because personally I've never treated any case of renal carcinoma with sarsaparilla. Though we have case of cancer treated with other remedies, sarsaparilla I've never used, so I can't comment. But it's there given in your repertories. So do keep this in mind. So as simple as inflammation or as serious as cancer of kidney, you can think of sarsaparilla. One more beautiful symptom of sarsaparilla, kidney complaints associated with skin complaints. Okay, this is an important concomitant symptom of sarsaparilla. Now we are going in a very systematic way, though we are talking of the urinary tract, starting from the kidney, the ureter, the bladder, the urethra. I'm going step by step. We saw initially what is the action of sarsaparilla on kidney. Now we are trying to explore the action of sarsaparilla on bladder. ಏನ್ ಮಾಡಬಹುದು sarsaparilla acting on bladder? See, few things you'll have to remember. The first thing here is inflammation. It's a very important remedy, a forgotten remedy and very less used remedy for cystitis. Whenever a case of cystitis come to our clinic, before understanding homeopathy correctly, I used to give Cantharis. That's a bad practice. I am sharing my mistakes so that you don't do this when you start your practice. Please follow the principles of homeopathy correctly. So I mean, we would have missed many cases of sarsaparilla giving Cantharis, and Cantharis also wouldn't have cleared the case, and they would have gone to some other doctor. Okay, so sarsaparilla will have its own symptoms. What are those symptoms? Acting on the bladder, it can cause cystitis. Naturally, from the knowledge of medicine, you know, when there is cystitis, there will be pain, there will be frequency of micturition, there can be hematuria. So all those things will slowly come up in next few slides. So calculi in bladder. Okay, I mean, many times you'll be shocked to see calculi in bladder. Okay, there again you can think of sarsaparilla. Okay, so dribbling urination. Now here I've tried to show you an image of a person who has frequent urination, who has got painful urination. But the PQRS of sarsaparilla is, I have tried to highlight that with the red thing there so that that gets highlighted and you remember it better. See, sarsaparilla painful micturition is at the end of urination. Please mark this, remember this, it's very important. As Rajesh rightly said, you need to ask when the pains are more, before, during, after. We have remedies. I'll compare it in the next class. We have a lot of remedies to compare here, if time permits, today or in the next class. So what I want to highlight here is the pain in sarsaparilla is at the closure of urination. Okay, at the end of urination, then he starts feeling pain, and then he starts shrieking, shouting with pain, and the pains are burning, cutting and spasmodic pains. They also have frequent urination, part of inflammation. Frequent urination, there will be tenesmus, very painful, urging to urinate, and this typically in sarsaparilla is more before menses or on getting exposed to wet cold air. Okay, and you see this nice image here of I mean, not nice image, meaning a child. Somebody wants me to repeat, sir, lost your no audio, no video. Is it the problem with everybody that you're not able to hear me, or do they have any internet issues? Rest of you could hear me? And Pooja Shri wants me to repeat something. I really don't know what exactly, Pooja, you want me to repeat. Please type what you want me to repeat. I have no issues in repeating. Only this slide. Okay, fine. Only this slide. So what I was trying to tell you here is we were trying to, so the meeting will end in 5 minutes. No problem. We are trying to explore the action of sarsaparilla on the bladder. And I tried to tell you, friends, that it's a very good remedy causing inflammation. It will cause dysuria. It can cause calculi in bladder. And we were trying to understand the pain in sarsaparilla is at the closure of urination. And I have tried to show you an image of a child. Okay, a child who cries before urination. Now, a lot of remedies should come to your mind. Simple remedies, like for example, you have borax, you have lycopodium, you have nux vomica, you have cantharis, sanicula. Very interesting remedy. So these are few remedies that you need to remember. Child cries before urination. Child knows the pain that he has gone through in the previous urination, and he recalls that and he starts crying. Okay. Two images I have tried to show you. One is when a person is sitting and passing, the other is when a person is standing and passing urine. In sarsaparilla, this is very characteristic. When he sits and passes urine, the urine will be dribbling. Okay, but the same person, when he stands and passes the urine, the flow will be perfect. This is very interesting in sarsaparilla. Can pass urine freely when standing. When he sits, the urine starts dribbling. Many remedies we need to compare. We'll take it up in the next class. And the character of urine in sarsaparilla. See, pyelonephritis, it will cause calculi. So the character of urine becomes very important. You can start thinking, what is the character of urination in sarsaparilla? Albuminous urine, bloody urine, especially the last part of urine in sarsaparilla will be bloody. Urine can burn, cloudy, pale, scanty. Many remedies, they have their own characteristic smell. The smell in sarsaparilla, the urine is sour, puli, sourish smell. Urine can be sedimentous because of that affinity for stone formation, clay colored, sand, gravel, okay, and sand is white in color. Fine, we'll discuss few more remedies in the next class. In the urethra, you see that the urine burns, there is cutting type of pain, and pain in urethra more at the closure of urination. Okay, so this is what I wanted to try to highlight today. And as a recap, we try to understand the affection of sarsaparilla on the kidneys. Go anatomically so that you will not forget. Start with kidneys, go to the ureter, then take up the bladder, and then take up the urethra. See what all pathologies it can bring in. Comment on the pain, comment on the urine character. Okay, that will give you a small picture of sarsaparilla. Okay, I hope our time slot is getting over. So, if at all there are any questions, I'll definitely take up questions in the next class. And please do repeat or please revise going through sarsaparilla, what I have spoken, and you can also think of some remedies and come in the next class so that we can have a very good comparison of sarsaparilla. So next class I will compare sarsaparilla, urinary affections, and the rest of the sarsaparilla. We have to take up skin, we have to take up female, all that will be taken care. Okay. So class will close at 11:40. So in the next class, like for example, somebody was asking, sir, skin complaints. Yes, I have not completed sarsaparilla. Okay. So, we'll take it up in the next class. So that, see, I know you have a class at 12. And if at all you rejoin, the 20 minutes we can't do justice to sarsaparilla. So what we'll do is, next when we meet, so the entire 40 minutes, we'll make good use of sarsaparilla and we'll try to make use of the time and explore sarsaparilla. The points that we have not explored in sarsaparilla, we'll try to explore. Having introduced this remedy, you also please go through some good books and come back prepared for the next class so that we can have a better interactive session. Okay. So any questions? So till it closes on its own, we'll have some more time. So if you have any questions, you please ask related to what we have spoken today. And if you have no questions, we will close. And again, we will continue Sarsaparilla in the next class.